Hi, my name's Karen Cusumano.
Hi, this is Joe Cusumano, and this is the story of our daughter, Erica. Well, she met me at the door. She had that look on her face like, I got some good news.
I did good up until 7 weeks before I was due. At the time, I worked at St. John's, and I was getting ready to go to work, and I started bleeding. So I called my doctor, and he's like, meet me at the hospital. And they're like, you're having premature labor, so we'll admit you. I'm thinking we're going to be there for a couple days, maybe. I was there 31 days before I had her. They show her to us, and we take a couple pictures, and all of a sudden, you kind of get a sense that something's going on because they kind of whisk her away.
Well, they were trying to clear her throat with the suction cup and all that, and that wasn't working.
So they took her, to just the nursery there at the time, and then they did some x-rays to confirm what their suspicions were. So I was in recovery, and all of a sudden, there's all these doctors around us. And they're like, okay, based on a scale of 1 to 10, your daughter has a situation going on, and it's a 10. So if we don't operate on her, she's going to die. They started explaining it to us that she had what was known as a tracheoesophageal fistula with an esophageal atresia. The first part meaning that is an abnormal connection between the upper esophagus with your trachea and your windpipe, and the esophageal atresia was where her esophagus came down, but it ended in a blind pouch and it didn't connect anywhere.
Once in a lullaby.
When they took her away to do the surgery, we were all like on pins and needles, and then he came in after the surgery and he said, well, good news. He said, we got it connected. He says, but she's going to have dilatations on her throat.
For a long time, she had this string, but it would go in her mouth, down her throat, and out where the gastrostomy tube was at. So it was kind of like a continuous circle, and they would hook tubes on there that were in graduated sizes, and they would pull them through. And so there was different times when we would be out shopping, and she would have this piece of string taped to her cheek, okay? I mean, it didn't hurt her. And I remember when she was little, and I'm like, how long is she going to have this string? I want to take her picture. And they're like, that's part of her. You have to go have her picture taken. That's part of her.
Really do come true.
Tell us about the Mother's Day you'll never forget.
Yeah, it was probably the worst Mother's Day I ever remember. She turned blue. She was lifeless. And if he hadn't given her CPR, she wouldn't be here today.
And wake up where the clouds are.
To have your daughter in your hand. She was blue, pretty lifeless. She came back in my arms, and she finally came back.
We didn't leave her with anybody. When she was in school, I'd pick her up for lunch. We lived over here by St. Al's, and I'd pick her up every day for school.
Where troubles melt like lemon drops.
Well, she's a fighter, and she's determined.
She's very smart, very proud of her, what she's accomplished in life. Did you ever see the tape of Jennifer Schulze?
It's a little old. It's a little old, yeah.
Parents throughout Central Illinois will attest having a high-risk baby is a devastating experience. Channel 3's Jennifer Schulze talks with some parents who've recently gone through the trauma of having a premature and sick baby.
Cusumanos were getting ready to take Lamaze classes when Karen went into labor 7 weeks early. Doctors prevented the birth for 4 weeks, but in January, little Erica was born 3 weeks premature and with some serious health problems.
My name is Erica Cusumano. I'm a public relations representative at HSH's St. John's Hospital. I was born on January 14th, 1983. So basically, I tell the stories of our patients and our colleagues internally, externally, to the media. I love meeting the families. There's a lot that goes on at the hospital. There's a lot of sadness. There's a lot of happiness. But it's being able to tell those success stories and hear those families be so eternally grateful to St. John's Hospital and their nurses and their doctors and the things that they've done when they've been within our walls. Being able to tell those stories outwardly is my favorite part. The day that I started, a memo went out saying that I had been hired and announcing what I was going to be doing for the hospital. I started getting all these emails from nurses who had taken care of me. The very first time I went to the NICU to do a media story, I was with a local reporter who I'm friends with now, but I'd never met her. And we were doing a series on the NICU because she'd had her own experience. And I didn't know that I would react this way, but we would go in, we're talking to these families, and I'm meeting some of these nurses that had taken care of me, some that hadn't, that have just been there a long time, listening to her story, and I burst into tears. Dreams that you dream of. I thought, wow, this is what my parents went through. I didn't expect it to affect me the way it did. Working at the hospital and seeing the stories that we tell through PR and the stories that you guys tell through CMN and Radiothon, it's made me realize that it's okay to talk about it. Anytime I would cough or get a funny look on my face when I was eating a meal, my mom would practically fly across the table and ask me if I was okay. I had to go in a lot. Like I said, I've been put to sleep 26 times. But it was scary because I remember laying on that bed and looking up at those lights. And, I was a little girl. I was scared. I can't meet a NICU family and talk to them without getting tears in my eyes.
And the dream that you did to why.
Thank you, Mom and Dad. I love you. I wouldn't be here without you. I think now with the role I have an even greater appreciation for all that you went through. You're the reason I'm here today.